Hey everyone, so this is a follow-up video to the video I posted back in June regarding my issues with dynamic weapon solutions and their Mark IV Enforcer slide cuts from M&P. I finally got the slide back. It took over 4 months for me to get it back. I got it back last week, October like 22nd, I think it was. I don't know why it took Paige over 4 months to get this back to me, but having it back in my possession, I realize it's still messed up. What they did do to fix the problem, right, if you recall from the first video, I found out that this side was cut at 50 thousandths deep, and this side was cut at 30 thousandths, so their way to fix that was to pretty much just cut the other side just as deep, and figured that would solve the problem. To their credit, you know, if I measure this, if it's zeroed out, I believe they brought it down to about 45 thousandths deep to try to make it not so aggressive. But however, every photo on their website, this is still the deepest I've seen any slide cut, and it is not enjoyable to hold in the hand at all. It's way too sharp. I mean, it's so sharp, you know, I made a video before this when I first realized how bad this was messed up, and I was really irate, and I was actually able to saw a piece of wood with these serrations because they're still so deep. This is why I brought this piece of wood, to give everyone an idea of how sharp this is. Look at that. You can cut fucking wood with this slide. It is that fucking... But on top of that, trying to use my Kydex holster with this, you know, it sounds like a hillbilly playing the spoons on a washboard. Like a little every time you pull it in out of the holster. So, but additionally to the fact that they basically just cut the other side just as deep, I had mentioned in my first video that I had Trigicon HD XR front sights on here. These are not XRs, and when I received the package in the mail, there was the packaging right here, and that's when I realized, okay, so he did lose my sights when I sent it to him, which also means, if I can, you know, infer that if he lost my sights, he also lost my internals. And for those of you who own, you know, an M&P in the Pro Series, you know that the internals of the slide are upgraded from the standard one. So this is the same slide from my my first video. This is my buddy's M&P Pro stock, like as you'd buy it from a dealer, and of course, I put my slide on my frame and pulled the trigger. I put his slide on my frame, pulled the trigger, completely different. So, well, it's clear that he probably put stock internals in this thing. Oh yeah, that is just garbage. No reset. These are stock internals. You could hear the reset. Nope. Yep. So he lost my sights, and he went and put standard internals in my and replaced my upgraded internals with standard ones. Additionally, as I said, you know, in the first video, there's a burr mark right here from the end mill bit stopping. He got the color right this time. This is their battle worn tungsten, but you can still see that tooling mark right there, and they just pretty much just buffed it out as much as they could. So, what led up to this point, and what has happened since I got this slide back? So, in the first video, I shipped this slide back on June 16th, and I honestly, like I said before in the first video, this guy is so hard to get him to do anything unless you bug the shit out of him. So, as I said, 4 months, it took over 4 months to get this back, and literally all they did was flip it on this side, cut these deeper, face it by 50 thousandths, and then put in the wrong internals and wrong sights and send it back to me. I don't know how that took 4 months to do, but I pretty much badgered this guy every single day because he had told me, and I even said this in my first video, I told him I do not want to send this slide back to you because I don't know when I'll get it back. And man, I was completely right. It took him over 4 months to get it back to me. So he has had this slide in his possession for over 8 months. 8 months. I sent it back to him in February. Here we are at the end of October. He's had 8 months with this slide, and that's completely unacceptable. I sat there and I kept he made it sound like he was going to get the work done when I first sent it to him. He said, hey, you're right. It's cut wrong. We're going to fix it. We'll get it back to you. It's top priority. He said those words to me. I have over 80 emails with this guy going back and forth. And most of them are me basically badgering him saying, give me a date. When is this going to be done? Where is it? What's taking so long? Basically about the time that he would have completed the work had I sent it to him initially, so about week 8 or 10. I basically call him out because I'm like, dude, where is this? And he says, oh, it takes a lot of time. We're taking measurements. He must have told me they were taking measurements of this slide multiple times, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 times. When I said, what's going on? He's like, oh, we're taking measurements to make sure we don't get it wrong. And the funny thing is when I even sent this back to him, I took a label maker and I pointed out this side, like right here, arrow pointing here. These are 50 thousandths deep. Here is the burr mark. This side, 30 thousandths deep. So to sit there and say, we're making measurements, it's like, yeah, I know what measurements you need to do, but they don't take 4 months to get done. So eventually I get really upset. And I call him out, and I said, this is taking so long. This is completely unprofessional as a business owner for you to make me sit there and wait this long when you completely messed up this slide, and you're constantly having all these different sales and stuff like that. Because if you follow this guy on Instagram, it's constantly like posting every day. Even right now, it's like Glocktober, and it's he's selling pre-cut slides. So there's always pre-cut slides going out, but he's not doing any of the individual work. So at one point, I call him out and I say, listen, man, are you even working on this thing? All that kind of stuff. And he says, yeah, we're working on it right now. We're cutting it. I'm like, you're cutting it right now? He says, yeah. I'm like, send me a picture. I want to see a picture of this thing in the mill. And I get the typical, well, sir, if we send you a picture, then we have to send everyone a picture, and that's just going to slow the whole process down. And I pretty much reply back saying, dude, you've had this slide for this long. Taking one picture is not going to slow anything down. He goes, okay, it's a fair point. Well, and I basically I reply back and I said, listen, man, I'm telling you to your face, I think you're lying to me. I don't think you've done any work on my slide whatsoever in the time that you've had it. You told me this is a top priority, and it's not. I want a picture of this slide right now so I can renew some faith in me that you're actually doing the work. He says, okay. And then, of course, he won't send it to me the day I asked for it. He says, I'll send it to you tomorrow. Well, I just so happened to end up going on vacation. I was out of country. I was out of country for 10 days. I come back expecting to get an email with this picture in my inbox. Of course, he didn't send it. I hit him up again. Hey, man, where's my picture? Dude, it's been 11 days. You should have sent this to me. And I had to wait 3 more days before I got a final picture. And I'll add that in here so you can see what I got. But already, if you look at this picture, you can see that it's pretty much, they took the slide, they put it in the end mill, and they put some lubricant over it because these little cuts right here on the side weren't even deep at all yet at that point. So it took, I don't know, week 12 before I actually see it getting cut. So basically, he said this will be priority, and that meant it's going to go to the back of the line, pretty much. So, week 14, like this goes back and forth between him saying, "Oh yeah, it's going to be sent," doesn't get sent. Week 14, I get another picture. He sends me pretty much a nice close-up of this one, and I can basically see at that point, okay, all he did is just cut these deeper and just fuck up the slide more. Cool. So then we kind of roll into the past couple weeks when he says, hey man, your slide shipping Monday, cool. Suddenly he sends me the same pre-shipment, and if any of you guys get pre-shipment from him, you're going to be in pre-shipment limbo for a week, so I can tell you that because that's what happened. I basically tell him, hey, can you please ship it Saturday, man? And he says, yeah, dude, I'll send it today. And then he basically tells me he puts it into a blue USPS mailbox on a Saturday, and I'm waiting for the shipment to update, and it doesn't. And I sent him an email about it. He says, "Oh, I looked at it, and apparently that mailbox only picks up Wednesday through Saturday, which I've never heard of a blue USPS mailbox picking up Wednesday through Saturday only." So what I did is I ended up going on to the USPS website and looking at all the mailboxes around his shipping address that he sent me the label for, and none of those mailboxes said they only shipped Wednesday through Saturday. So I call him back. I send him a text and say, hey, man, dude, did you forget to ship it? Dude, if that's the case, and just tell me, man. He says, no, I haven't lied to you yet. Why would I start lying now? And I was completely floored that he had the stones to sit there and say that. So I was like, okay, whatever. I'm not going to... And he did, to his credit, though, he did say when he sent me the shipping label that's coming back, he says, hey, I'll give you a phone call. We can talk on the phone once you get it and figure out how to kind of fix this chaos that's happened. So Another couple days go by, and he still hasn't shipped it, to the point where I decided to call him again, call him out on it again, saying, hey, dude, what was the intersection streets where you shipped off that slide? Because I want to go to the website and figure out when they pick it up, and then I'll call the USPS and ask them why they haven't picked it up yet. Oh no, you don't need to do that. Don't worry, it's going to be reshipped and it should be updated soon. And that's when it's only the shipment update. So clearly he didn't ship it when he said he shipped it. And then he ended up actually dropping it off at a post office place, because if that's not the case, if I don't know how you reship something unless he, ripped open that USPS mailbox to grab my slide and then ship it from the post office, which I highly doubt. So he will not lie to you, and that's the thing is I've realized looking through all his emails and stuff, he never blatantly lied to my face, but he will come up with numerous excuses. So beware of that if you ever want to deal with this guy. So that brings me to where we are now. So I'm pissed because not only did he lose my sites, he gave me stock internals, he decided to fuck up the other side of these serrations as well. I suddenly realize now that I actually have the extractor in here, just how much material he took off from that slide. Look how much that extractor protrudes compared to just a regular stock slide, right? You can actually see the internal parts. I don't have a pencil. You can see the little lip right in there. Part of the, that's going to be dirt getting in there, getting all inside these internals here. And also, if you look at, you look at all the different pictures he has on his website, no other slide is cut as deep as along these serrations here or as deep along this side here. He reduced way too much, way too much material here. So I'm pissed. I'm done with this. This guy's had my slide for 8 months, and he ends up sending me back, wrong stuff again. And even in the emails, he says, hey man, your slide's ready to go. And I'm just thinking, I know he's lost my stuff. He's lost my sites. And I said, hey, are my sites and internals in order? He says, yeah. I'm like, okay, Trigicon HD XRs? And he says, yeah. So clearly he didn't read my email or whatever. I don't care. So fast forward the actual phone call between me and Pedro. It goes like this. I call him. He says, okay, so what do you think? And I'm like, well, you messed it up again. You could tell he wasn't too happy to hear that. He's like, okay, how's it messed up? And I say, well, you got the wrong sites on here. He says, but you wanted HDs? I said, no, I wanted XRs. Those were what was on there originally, and that was in the email I sent you. He goes, okay. I tell him about the internals. Hey, man, put the wrong internals in here too. And he goes, okay, I got them from Smith & Wesson. I'm like, yeah, I know you got them from Smith & Wesson, but Smith & Wesson doesn't sell the same improved sear that comes with this one. So then I tell him, dude, I'm still not happy about this slide at all. Like, you cut these things, these are still, 5 thousandths off. Yeah, it does feel like they improved it a little bit, but still, this is way too deep. And at the same time, now that I actually have this extractor in here, you've taken off way too much material off this entire slide just in general. And he says, yeah, well, that's your opinion. I'm like, no, it's not my opinion. Every single photograph on your website shows something completely different than this. Yeah, but that's your opinion. I'm trying to get through his head. I'm like, listen, dude, I'm going to send you a picture. So what I did was I made this picture, and I'll put this up too. This is a photo of the exact same angle of this slide compared to 2 of the photos on his website that has the closest view of this right here. And he says, and it basically clearly points out that this, you can see it's clear as day, that this side is cut way more deeper. Just this entire thickness is reduced way more than anything on his photos. And I mean, he doesn't post his specs of how deep he's cutting this thing on his website, and that's understandable. However, as a consumer, the only thing you have to go off of is a photograph on the website, right? It looks cool, I like it, right? This is not what on the website. And I said, not to mention, dude, you also cut holes in the slide here. And I looked, and I even took a screenshot of his website just the day I got this. And on his form, if you remember in the last video, his form sits there and allows you to choose whether or not you want these windows. And he said, yeah, I know it's still there. I'm like, so you haven't fixed it. So what's up with that? And he goes, oh, it's a feature now. I'm like, so it's a feature now. So now you can select windows or no windows if you want now, but not back in February. So that leads me to believe that he probably cut this slide the wrong way the first time and then tried to cover his ass saying, oh no, that's proprietary. We always cut them like that. But now suddenly, I didn't push this point. I was done. I basically said, listen, Pedro, this is what I want. I want a 100% refund for the work done on my slide plus the improved paint job. And I want the cost for me to get a brand new from Smith & Wesson replacement slide. This is not what I wanted. You fucked this up, and I don't want it. He says, that's not going to happen. I said, that's totally fine. I'm letting you know right now. Then I will file a small claims. I'm going to sue you. I'm going to sue you in small claims court because this is not what I advertised for. This is not what was advertised. This is not what's given to me. Just because you think it's acceptable does not mean it's acceptable to me. You know, in the real world, if you sit there and you send a part out to somebody, to a machinist, and you say, I need this part made, once they finish making that part, they send you a sheet with the tolerances on there, and they say, do you accept these tolerances? Or they basically say, we can guarantee these tolerances. And then if they're out of those tolerances, you can reject that part. You cannot sit there and have me send a part to somebody and say, please drill me a 1-inch hole in this part, and they drill 2 inches, and they say, no, it's still good, because that was what his argument was. He didn't understand. He's like, no, you're telling me you haven't even shot the slide? What makes you think it's not good? I'm like, no. I don't think there's anything safety-wise wrong with this slide. However, the photographs which were the basis of me purchasing the slide package from you are completely different. So you cannot sit there and say, well, I cut more material off of it, I made it look, symmetrical, you should accept it. No, I do not accept it. So he basically said initially, he says, no, I'm not going to sit there and give you a refund. And I said, fine, I'm taking to small claims court. That I have no problem in doing that. I will go down to the county clerk tomorrow and I will serve you papers. What is the correct address for your business so I know that when I send my papers to you, certified mail, they get there. Well, we talked around quite a bit, and he agreed that he is going to give me a full refund pending that I send this slide back to him. And so the plan now, and this is for my records, this is for the internet's records, the plan is I contacted Smith & Wesson and I asked them, what do I got to do to get a brand new slide, a replacement slide? And I basically have to send my frame back to Smith & Wesson, and then they're going to send me a quote for how much it's going to cost to get a replacement slide plus the internals. I will ship them my original barrel for them to fit, and Pedro has agreed to refund me the $505 for this package, plus the cost to get this replaced, plus the cost of my Trijicon HD XR sights. So that's where this story ends. 8 months down the drain, waiting for something that I've ultimately just don't even want to look at anymore, Some people may see this and say, oh, that's pretty cool. And that's totally fine. I mean, the work looks good. It does look like a very cool slide. However, these are aggressive. And this is too much. This is taking way too much off where I can stick my fingernail in there and I can probably pull that extractor back if I wanted to. This is unacceptable to me, right? It may not be unacceptable to other people. The customer service this guy gave me over the past 8 months is completely unacceptable. So I want this to be a witness for anybody who's considering sending their slide to this guy, right? This is what you can expect to deal with, right? You can expect no communication. You can expect that you're going to wait longer than you should. And if he messes it up, you're guaranteed to be thrown to the back of the line. Because, man, if I was a business owner and I realized I really messed up someone's, their part, you better believe it's going to go at the front of the line and get fixed immediately. I don't understand why, right? I didn't even start getting pictures of this thing being worked on until after the waiting period that I would have waited had I sent it to him initially. So this is my second time filming this video, because the first video I actually did an unpackaging and I came across, finding this in there and immediately losing my shit, because I realized then once I put my frame on to this slide and with this slide, I realized the trigger job was all completely fucked again. So I'm just going to end it here. This is for everyone that's interested in this package, wants a really good up-close look at this, what you might get. I guarantee you, when I send this back to him, he's probably going to put it up on his Instagram and try and sell it to somebody else. So if you are finding this video and this is your slide, well, now you know the history behind this slide and how long it took to get to your hands. If I'm guessing if you're looking to buy a pre-cut Glock slide and you already have a Glock, all that kind of stuff, I don't think necessarily you could go wrong with his company. But I honestly think that if you're looking to send something to him, I would look elsewhere. So I'm going to end this all here. There they both are. This is what they started out. You can see how much material has been removed, all that kind of stuff. Does it look cool? Yeah. I don't accept it. I do not accept this work. So hope you all enjoyed this, and take care of yourselves.